The drama surrounding Shadur Sanders just hit another level, and this time it feels less like a quarterback competition and more like a full-blown battle between a young star and the NFL system itself. It all started in Cleveland's quarterback room, a place that was already tense with Joe Flacco hanging on as the seasoned veteran. Gabriel suddenly handed the reins as QB1, and Shadur buried at QB3 despite the buzz around him. But then came the press conference that turned everything upside down. Shadur walked in, cool as ever, with cameras flashing and reporters ready to dissect his every word. And then, silence. Not the silence of hesitation or fear, but a deliberate, calculated silence. Instead of answering questions, Shadur mouthed his responses, lips moving without sound, daring the media to interpret what they thought he said. In a league where every word is twisted into a headline, he gave them nothing, and that silence was louder than anything he could have said. What happened next was chaos. Within minutes, clips of Shadur silently moving his lips flooded social media. Twitter and TikTok exploded with memes, edits, and speculation. Some fans hailed it as genius, a young player protecting himself from a media machine determined to paint him as arrogant. Others called it childish, an immature stunt that embarrassed his team. But while fans debated, the NFL wasn't laughing. Reports quickly surfaced that league officials saw the act as a direct challenge to the integrity of press access, one of the league's sacred rituals. By the time the clip hit the commissioner's desk, words like unacceptable and insubordination were being thrown around. What Shadur thought was self-preservation, the NFL saw as rebellion. Inside the Browns facility, the fallout hit fast. Head coach Kevin Stefanski was already walking a tightrope, trying to balance grooming Gabriel, keeping veterans like Flacco happy, and figuring out how to handle the enormous attention surrounding Shadur. Now he was dragged into a national storm. Reports suggested the commissioner's office even reached out to the Browns' front office, pressing them to get their house in order. General manager Andrew Berry, already under pressure, was fielding calls not just from league officials, but also from ownership in Shadur's camp. The Browns' carefully controlled quarterback narrative had slipped completely out of their hands. Then came the whispers about punishment. Rumors of fines started circulating, something almost unheard of for a rookie quarterback who hadn't even played a regular season snap. Local Cleveland radio described the moment as a meltdown at the highest level, while ESPN's ticker blared with updates that the commissioner was furious with Sanders. The noise grew so loud it spilled directly into the locker room. Joe Flacco, reportedly frustrated, saw it as another distraction in a QB room already under a microscope. Gabriel's camp stayed quiet, but the silence felt strategic, as if his team knew that the more Shadur stirred controversy, the safer Gabriel's hold on the starting role would become. And yet, Shadur didn't flinch. At practice the next day, he walked with headphones on, head high, moving through drills as if none of the noise touched him. That composure only fueled his critics, who now accused him of arrogance, while his supporters saw it as proof of his resilience. Reports claimed his practice reps quietly shrank in the days following the press conference. Gabriel suddenly fed more first-team snaps, while Flacco commanded veteran attention. But even with limited opportunities, Shadur made sure his arm did the talking. During a 2-minute drill, he reportedly delivered a laser between defenders that stunned teammates, drawing gasps from the sideline. Players clapped him on the shoulder, a quiet signal of solidarity in the middle of chaos. But practice wasn't just about football anymore. Every rep was political. A dropped ball by a receiver was suddenly spun as a sign that Shadur couldn't command the offense. A perfect throw became fuel for the growing pro-Shadur movement online. The Browns weren't just coaching, they were doing damage control. And as every coach knows, distractions in the NFL don't hover on the sidelines. They seep into the field, into body language, into how calls are made. Suddenly, Cleveland wasn't just managing quarterbacks. They were managing a cultural divide that had fractured the locker room. The cultural fallout might be the most dangerous part of all this. Some teammates reportedly admired Shadur's defiance, seeing it as authenticity in a league often dominated by scripted answers and corporate PR lines. Others saw it as selfish, a stunt that dragged the entire team into a storm they didn't ask for. That divide extended beyond the locker room. Cleveland's fan base fractured almost overnight. Half the city defended Shadur, praising him for pushing back against a hostile media that seemed eager to pick him apart since draft night. The other half accused him of humiliating the franchise, dragging the Browns into yet another controversy at a time when stability was desperately needed. Even rival fans piled on. Steelers and Ravens faithful flooded social media with memes, mocking Sanders as Silent Sanders, joking that he'd never have to call protections at the line since no one could hear him anyway. And in the middle of all this, national analysts sharpened their knives. Stephen A. Smith thundered on First Take that Shedur's stunt wasn't leadership, it was arrogance. Pat McAfee, on the other hand, chuckled, calling it the most college move of all time, while still admitting he respected Shadur for refusing to let reporters twist his words. It was a media firestorm that showed no signs of slowing down. For Shadur, this storm isn't new. It's just magnified. As Deion Sanders' son, he's lived under a microscope his entire life. Every comment, every performance, every misstep has been magnified. To him, mouthing his answers wasn't mockery, it was protection. A refusal to give the media more bullets to fire. But the problem is, what Shedeur sees as survival, the NFL sees as defiance. And in a league built on order and image, defiance comes at a cost. The Browns' quarterback room has always been a powder keg, but Shedur's press conference stunt lit the match. Flacco, the fading veteran, knows his time is short. Gabriel, the coach's favorite, is rising quickly. And Shadur, the wild card with his father's charisma and his own unshakable confidence, is stuck in the middle, turning every move into a headline. This was never just about football. Now it's about egos, politics, and loyalty to the league's unwritten rules. The Browns aren't juggling quarterbacks anymore. They're juggling dynamite. The truth is, once a quarterback controversy becomes cultural, it rarely goes away. It festers. It splits locker rooms. It divides fans. And it lingers for years. Cleveland thought they had 3 quarterbacks to manage. Instead, they have a franchise-threatening storm on their hands, with Shadur Sanders standing at the center. His silence wasn't just a protest, it was a challenge. A challenge to the media, to the league, and to anyone who doubts him. And whether you see it as genius or immaturity, one thing is certain, the NFL won't forget it. So now the question falls to you. Was Shadur Sanders protecting himself from a media machine determined to twist his words, or was he fueling chaos in Cleveland at the worst possible time? Was this boldness or recklessness? And how should the Browns handle a rookie quarterback who refuses to play by the rules? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.